hooker with a heart of gold, prairie nymphs, soiled doves, sporting women, whores.
Prairie nymphs is very cute.
You're listening to The Oldest Profession. My name is Kaytlin Bailey. I worked as an hourly escort when I was in high school for no good goddamn reason. I was just super curious. And then when I needed money for the first time, I got into sugaring because I'm not stupid.
I'm Wendi Starling. I started selling my panties on the internet when I was 34. Then from there, made the very smart leap to sugaring at the ripe old age of close to 35. So I do that to help support comedy.
So every week on The Oldest Profession, I am going to tell a story about an old hoe that came before us because it's the oldest profession, so it's got to have a history, right? And all these bitches have really cool stories. So I'll be telling a story from a sex worker, whore, lady of the night, woman of ill repute, whatever you want to fucking call it, that came before us.
And you are listening to The Oldest Profession.
To The Oldest Profession.
You got to keep things spicy.
What's finger licking good? I mean, come on. Obviously, The Oldest Profession
has a history.
Do this.
Get the kimchi out of my teeth before we start this.
Who are you? What are you doing?
I'm very healthy now. I'm trying to take care of my body.
Do you want a kombucha?
I would. Yeah, later. We'll do it after.
Okay.
I don't want to be like burpy on the show.
Oh, that's why I've been burping so much recently. I hadn't put it together.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's a kombucha.
That makes sense.
I've been really trying to work on, and we can talk about this later because I know we have to get to the famous old bitch we're going to talk about today. But I've been doing this thing that's really helpful, self-esteem for sex workers.
Oh,
very interesting. Yeah. Well, look.
Sweet.
Well, I mean, that's a teaser. We'll talk about it on another episode.
No.
But part of it is like eating healthy, and so I've really been trying to do the self-care thing.
Yeah, I mean, your body's your temple, and if it's also your business, you gotta fucking take care of it.
Yeah.
That's why, sex workers have been taking care of their shit for the whole time.
Literally and figuratively.
It's why I think it's
Psyllium Husk is great.
It's so funny to me when people are always like, STDs, like sex workers, they're all disease ridden. I'm like, we have to use condoms more vigilantly than all your sorority, slut, drunken hookup culture nonsense happening. Because like people delude themselves and like, oh, this guy is so nice and his tie's so clean, he can't give me an STD, or like, oh, we just got caught up in the moment, or blah 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 blah.
Yep.
Pros, fucking no.
I had somebody recently, Rex Sex, very fun.
Rex Sex,
we were talking, so he and he like knew kind of about me and about my background. Mm-hmm. So we're making out. It was really fun and really passionate. He goes, so like, how long are you still like sleeping with billions of different guys a day? And I go, no, I don't sleep with billions of guys. I slept with billionaires. So that's first.
Right. That's different. That's a logistics problem.
Yeah. and he, I swear to God, it was the craziest thing. And he goes, no, but like lately, have you been? And I was like, well, that's none of your business. Mm-hmm. And he goes, well, I just want to know if we have to use a condom or not. And I started laughing. And I'm like, I go, that's not how it works, you dumb motherfucker.
I decide that we have to use a condom whether I'm fucking making money with my pussy or not.
Like, it was crazy. You're nuts. Yeah. I was like, and I just started laughing. I'm like, oh, we're using a condom. He's like, well, I don't have one. And I'm like, well
then get the fuck out.
Right. I was like, well, I do, but I'm not going to waste one on you because you're being a dumb fuck.
You're being a dumb fuck, so you can just get out of my life.
Yeah, and I'm not even going to let you eat my pussy. Not even for free. But yeah, so that's why my mouth smells like kimchi, but you know what? It keeps your belly flat.
Yep.
All right. Now that we vented about it, we take a quick like scream and yell.
There's so much happening.
I'm so excited. Who are we? You tried to text me earlier this week.
Know. I did.
And I was like, I don't want to know. I like it to be a surprise. Who are we talking about today?
We are talking about Ishtar, or the otherwise known as the whore of Babylon. So we're going way back.
Oh, cool.
To the beginnings of civilization.
Oh, shit.
All right. So Ishtar was a goddess who was worshipped in Mesopotamia. I don't know. Did you get like Western Civ? Did you learn all about Mesopotamia?
No, I do know about this only because I went to private school when I was very young. So I'm this is Bible stuff.
Yeah, well, sort of.
It's
like pre-Bible stuff.
Okay.
So this is like, I mean, Jesus. We'll get into the dates.
Yeah,
it's
Jesus.
Jesus
is mid-Bible times.
Jesus is mid-Bible times. You're right. This is mid-Bible times. But so like you get how like civilizations happen, right?
Yes.
So this is the Fertile Crescent. So with the invention of agriculture, now they have like surpluses of crops and they have to store them and stuff.
Aqueducts.
They got aqueducts. They had an irrigation system. They got to count shit. They got to build public work. So it's now we're going from like nomadic tribes of like shepherds and people who are just like gathering as they go to an established multi-dimensional city, right? Like a civilization. You have, and Babylon was one of the original big cities of the,
Yeah.
Whatever. So Ishtar is the oldest female deity that we have myths and records about. So a lot of feminist scholars and a lot of regular scholars believe that all people were originally worshiping the great, the Mother Earth, right? So it's like something resembling like Native American religion. So from like Ireland to fucking India, everyone was worshiping the Great Mother, because when we come out of the caves and look around for something to worship, the weirdos who have a system in their body that talks to the moon and each other and make people with their body are like closer to a deity than like a male god who just jerks off on stuff. Like, it's just not that impressive.
Right. Yeah.
Like we're cool.
Right, exactly. Cooler stuff comes out of the stuff that comes out of a guy's sexual organs.
Not
just
as
lays on the
interesting.
ground
Yeah,
and just sits there.
Yeah, but so like a lot of the early religions have a lot to do with like blood rites and like menstrual blood and fertility and like birth and children.
That's back
right?
in the olden days, because the stuff that comes
days.
out of our pussies, it's just like that can work in a field.
Yeah, sure.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that it was so, because has it changed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's real dramatic. So, and the history of Ishtar kind of walks us through that path, right?
Oh, interesting.
So,
cool.
Yeah. So a lot of early feminist scholars think that, Babylon, Mesopotamia is not the dawn of civilization, but that there was an earlier dawn of a more civilized civilization that was actually
Atlantis.
matriarchal.
I'm just kidding.
That's
Underwater.
an example. Yeah. So like matriarchal and goddess worshiping, and that Mesopotamia, the like herders and nomadic guys with guns like overthrow those empires and like take them over and introduce their war gods to them. So by the time we get to written language, or surviving written language, is 3500 BC. We're looking at Ishtar. She's one of many deities, and she's the goddess of romantic love and lust, fertility goddess, and she's also a goddess of war. Her son, who she has an incestuous relationship with, which is something that's true of a lot of different kinds of fertility goddesses in a lot of different areas, represent the seasons. So the story is she has to go down and like get him from the underworld, and it's like a cycle, basically. Like, the story of Demetrius.
I was just gonna say, I actually do know this
that.
story because it's like Greek mythology.
Yes.
I've heard that as you're describing it to me, I'm like, oh, I am familiar with this story.
So like that stuff gets replicated later, right? So like all of these religions kind of spawn other religions, if that makes sense, right? So Ishtar eventually becomes like Aphrodite and Venus and like these kinds of folks, but she starts off as a really powerful fertility goddess. And fertility rituals are a really big deal because it's the domestication of plants and animals that allows for all of civilization to exist, right? Like without the domestication of plants and animals, we're all just like picking berries and hunting deer and shit. You can't build a society that way, right? And once you build a society, people can focus on one thing, and that's how you get multidimensional like cities. You can't have prostitutes that are exclusively prostitutes, or bread makers who are exclusively bread makers, or chair makers who are exclusively chair makers in nomadic tribes, because everyone's doing everything because we're all fighting for survival all the time. Right.
Sounds like New York City. That everyone's got 5 jobs. They're like, I don't got.
Everyone's doing their fucking best.
I know. Everyone's just running around like, I can handle this on my own. Everyone's got a guy. Yeah.
Right. So like fertility shit, like it's a big fucking deal, right? And all of society is oriented around like the harvest cycle, and like everyone's involved in that because it's the foundation upon which the whole house of cards is built. And so one of the early fertility rituals was a marriage of the goddess of agriculture with the like earth's regent, basically, or like the shepherd character. So the king would have stylized, ceremonious, ritualized sex with one of the high priestesses representing Ishtar in an annual during the harvest as a fertility ritual.
Cool.
And their like sacred drippings of the hot sex they had was meant to fertilize and like, be a good harvest.
That sounds sexy. Now we try to, but you couldn't do that now. I mean, would you do that like at a Whole Foods?
Yeah.
Just like start fucking someone at Whole Foods, like in the produce section.
I'm confident that if there was a way for Whole Foods to market any kind of produce that had first been like fertilized by some sacred prostitute, they would 100%. You would pay $20.
I've been fingered in a Morton Williams. So
yep.
I feel bonded with this char. I had an orgasm. I was fingered near produce.
But that's not why Ishtar is considered the mother of all prostitutes, right? That's just like one fertility ritual. And so that fertility ritual, the first documentation of it is from like 2800 BC, but it's believed to be a much older ritual from like 6500 BC, right? So we're talking like 10,000 years ago, this fertility ritual. But that wasn't the only sacred sex that was happening in Ishtar's temple. The majority of her priestesses were quadushtu, who served as mystical therapists, healers, helping men with their sexual problems. They were holy women who sometimes had sex to serve the goddess. And the way that it worked is these men would come and they would do like tantric, like sexual healing with them through their body. The men would make a donation or a sacrifice to the goddess, and then the priestess would take that to the temple. And in addition to that, all women of Babylon, regardless of class, were expected to go to the temple and act as a prostitute at least once in their life, like paying homage, paying tribute, so that they could get in touch with the goddess who hated monogamy.
Whoa,
right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's so Ishtar explicitly considered herself linked to all prostitutes in and out of the temple. In fact, she was like, no, you know how there are like myths and stuff about God. I mean, because they're not real. Right. But she
wait a minute. Next thing you're going to tell me Santa's not real?
It's a whole thing. They
I'm
found
walking
his
out.
tomb like today.
Podcast over.
But so Ishtar was known to go to like the poorest, worst taverns and befriend prostitutes there because they reminded her of her own divine nature. So she's linked to, and the prostitute, like temples are a really big deal in the ancient world, right? That's where taxes are collected. They act as banks. In fact, it was a priestess from the temple of Ishtar that gave King Kronos, like the famously rich king, the initial loan that he used to then acquire his legendary wealth.
Really?
So, yeah. So they're like these are centers of like commerce and civic organizing. Like irrigation systems are planned and financed out of these temples. Like these are a big deal, right?
Right.
So the prostitution is centered out of the temples, but like so is literally everything else. So these women, and that old Babylonian law differentiates between priestess, like sacred prostitutes who are like trained and dedicate their life and like marry the temple and then give their body over to people that come and worship there and their assistants, and common prostitutes. They're all serving the goddess of love, but they make like social distinctions.
That's crazy. So they like the sanctioned or whatever prostitutes that are in the temple, that's like an actual slutty nun. You know, like the Halloween customer, like, I'm a sexy nun. Like, they were actually like
slutty nuns.
They were actually slutty nuns. That's the original costume idea. Yeah. They started prostitution and they started this terrible Halloween thing. That's just walking around, just like they're like the regular nun. What if they're regular nuns? They're like, we don't fuck, and then it was just like, oh, there's an Ishtar nun, and she's just in like a latex thing with a face mask.
Yeah, basically. Well, they say like Wonder Woman is sort of based on like has through lines of Ishtar through her. So it's like she's fucking everywhere, right?
Yeah.
This goddess has survived.
She's fucking everywhere and fucking everywhere. You know what I mean?
So yeah, the old Babylonians laws they differentiate between the priestesses, the assistants, and the free prostitutes. And then the temples of Babylon were just as hierarchical.
Free prostitutes. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify.
Free prostitutes.
You mean like people on the street?
Yeah. People who are working at taverns or inns or brothels or like sidewalks or like just people that are not associated with the temple.
Okay, yeah.
But they are kind of associated with the temple because like their patron saint, not patron saint, that's a Catholic thing, but like Ishtar is still their goddess, whether she's operating in the temple or out of the temple.
Right. That's like their spiritual pimp.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But the hierarchy still exists. And so like the things in the temple were just as hierarchical as things outside of the temple. So you have like a small number of highborn priestesses who lived in celibacy, and they were called Ishtaradu, because the thing about Ishtar is that she's called, her star is Venus, the morning and the evening star, and she's born a virgin every morning, and she goes to bed a whore every night. So she needs both a small number of virgins and like a bunch of whores to better worship the goddess. But that's the myth. It's super cool.
Get out
she's
of
a virgin
here.
and a whore in one fucking mystical figure. It's great. you don't have to separate them. We can be both, and we all are throughout our whole lives.
When I wake up,
because of the life cycle.
I consider myself a virgin if I've not been fucked in a day or two.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, virgin in the ancient world also just meant unmarried woman. So a lot of people that participated in prostitution or became priests, they weren't technically like hymen enforced virgins, but they were independent women.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Cool.
and the cool thing is like many wives of all classes spent some time in the temple before their marriage, right? And their temple years didn't disqualify them from marriage. Several laws stated that free prostitutes were not allowed. Like you were not allowed to marry a free prostitute if you were of a certain class, but you could marry somebody who was prostituting herself in the temple, and that was totally chill, no stigma. Right?
Okay.
So, yeah. So, and also, just like we saw in, 16th century Venice, aristocratic temple priestesses had way more freedom than their married peers, right? So she had the legal right to own property and slaves. And this is at a time, right, like when women are increasingly becoming property instead of people, right? So we're thinking of and the evidence of this is things like bride prices and dowries and women not being able to not being allowed to have property, and things like fines as a punishment for rape, because remember, you're damaging somebody's property.
Oh,
you're not hurting a person.
Whoa, I didn't know
right.
that.
So stuff like
fines
that.
for rape.
Fines for rape, right? Yeah.
See?
So they had bride prices and they had dowries and all
Jesus.
that shit. And that's where you get into, and the other thing is that, this is also the imposition of a patriarchal line, right? And by patriarchy, I literally mean like property done through the line of the father instead of the line of the mother, which makes more sense because we always know it's our baby.
Right.
Right? So if we just did property this whole time through the matriarchal line, we wouldn't have had to bother ourselves with like keeping women in cages their whole lives in order to protect their chastity
Right.
and protect men's ego and protect their like precious idea that only their pee-pee went in our like little fuckhole. Like it's they're so whatever. But it's
And I
fun.
like that. Theirs is a pee-pee and ours is a fuckhole. We're
Yeah,
more powerful,
pee-pee and
more better.
fuckhole. Yeah, we are more fucking powerful. So in the Temple of Ishtar, so men controlled all of the property, and by extension of that, they controlled their wife and their children. And so it was men who decided whether their girls got married or were sold as slaves or got sent to the temple, right? So when a father gave his daughter over to the temple, or when a Babylonian woman went to pay homage there, they would learn to dance and sing in honor of the deity. And the temples were so much more than just fertility rites, right? They're also a residence and a school, and they become this center of knowledge about birth and birth control and sexual dysfunction, and like so a lot of the healing arts. So like these women know how to perform abortions, and they know how to increase your fertility, and they know like the best salve to solve your erectile dysfunction, and they can help you with lactating.
Well,
like,
the
they're just
salve, your ED.
salve. Yeah.
It's not about salve. It's about the movement
Pressure.
of the hand. Yeah, it's about pressure movement. Hand. This is so great. I'm just picturing like the dads being like, all right, I'm sending my girl, and then you get to pick like, are you a prostitute on the street or in the temple? It's like. But all being said in church, I'm picturing it feels almost like the Cinemax, like the porn version of Harry Potter, like Hogwarts,
Right, yeah.
like a sexy Hogwarts.
Well, they're like basically the sex therapists of the ancient world.
Right.
Yeah. It's nuts. They do a lot of the healing arts.
Hogwarts is called no warts. Hopefully, we're all using protection in this church.
Did you have to read Gilgamesh when you were?
No.
All right. So
I'm gonna think of another Hogwarts pun. Hot warts. I'll think of more by the end of the show. They probably didn't have protection or warts then. But listen, I'm in. But I want to go back to this, all the other stuff they're teaching, because this is what I think, and you and I have talked about this so much with sex work, and I know that there are some people who are forced into it.
Yep.
And they're all different
There's some women who are forced into it in these fucking temples.
Right.
Like it was a will ride wide spectrum of things happening. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But as far as like with you and I and our experience in it, I've always thought this, and with the sugaring thing with the men that I saw, I started to realize I felt like a therapist.
Yes.
Like almost like a sex therapist, where you're just exchanging emotion and humanity and having
energy, yeah.
exactly an energy. And I feel, I mean, the gratitude I've had, and you probably had this too, where like men cry, and you're not even fucking; they just cry, and they. So this is really cool.
It's really interesting that you say that, because like, so Gilgamesh, it's known as like, you know, Western civilization's oldest story, right? So it's 4,000 years old. It was from an oral tradition, sort of like the Odyssey and all of that other stuff, and then we wrote it down like 4,000 years ago, and it's been kind of pieced together and forced upon high school kids for the whole time. But in that, there's a story that I think speaks to a larger parable about like what's happening during this time, or what had just happened. So a savage, Enkidu, who is like a peer of Gilgamesh's. So they're both violent heroes, right? They're both conquerors. But he's a savage, and he whatever. He spends 6 days and 7 nights with a harlot, so one of like the inn prostitutes, who civilizes him. She is the one that teaches him table manners and personal hygiene and how to show tenderness and feel compassion. And it was Ishtar that directed the holy whore to educate the savage before he entered urban society. And I think that this is an allegory about the relationship between warring tribes and the goddess-worshipping societies that they conquered, and understanding that one of the social functions of the Temple of Ishtar was to have a civilizing effect on men coming home from war. And that, I mean, I remember when I was working as an hourly escort in Raleigh, North Carolina, this was right when we invaded Afghanistan and Iraq. This is like 2004, 2005. And so I got a long email. Normally, my clients had to have references in order to book an appointment with me, but I got this long email from this guy. He was like, hey, I'm just back from Afghanistan. I haven't been intimate with a woman since coming home from war. I have a girlfriend. We've been seeing each other for a couple of weeks now, but I'm afraid to consummate our relationship because I've heard horror stories of guys like freaking out, like in the vulnerability of making love, the PTSD just like comes out of them. And so he was like afraid basically that he was going to cry, and wanted the phrasing he used still makes me laugh. He didn't want to take that risk on a real woman, so he wanted to hire me. And like people are like, oh, he wasn't thinking of you as a real person. I was like, no, he was thinking of me as a professional who was like going to be more oriented towards him and his needs than his girlfriend with this shared sexual experience. Right. So he booked an appointment, and he did cry. And we had a nice time together, and he wrote me an email later telling me that he and his girlfriend were fine and that things were working out great. And thank you very much for letting me get that out of me, basically. Yeah. Yeah.
It feels like being like a sexual, I mean, like you're like a conduit for.
Yeah. So much,
you know, and you don't, and that you don't even think about that. But yeah, going to war, and like my parents, they're retired now, like law enforcement and cops, they would have like night terrors. And so you've got like pent up aggression, anger.
Well, this toxic masculinity stuff, like when you talk about like the downside for men of patriarchal society is that you subjugate women, right? So like that sucks for us. We're not allowed to we're not allowed to have property. We're not allowed to work. We're not allowed to have an identity. We're not allowed to fucking be out in public, get shit beaten out of us for being mouthy, blah, blah. We're not allowed an education. All of that shit that happens over and over and over again. But the mirror of that is the denial of the feminine in men, right? Because once you decide that women are lesser, right? That they should be subjugated, that they are bad, then you try to stamp out femininity in men, which is often things like feeling feelings and caring for stuff and people and dogs, and basic humanity and empathy and all of the skills that this harlot was trying to teach this hero before he entered urban society. Because like he could just be an angry motherfucker out in the woods killing deer and other soldiers, but like if you're gonna come and be a part of society, you gotta have manners,
right? Yeah, you gotta know how to like sit properly at a table, and even sexually, like on a bigger scope, just to engage. And a lot of the men too, like that I would see, like that I would date, like half of them were, you know, they'd be married, and in their home, they've got this role set up where they go in, and it's like, you know, they're taking care. They said they have to be the dominant one, and they always have to go. And then and this is on such a basic level. This is on a very literal, just on the sexuality part. Something as simple as they've been with the same woman for 25, 30 years, right? And maybe they've always wanted but they've always like wanted their ass licked, or they want someone to, but like they're
afraid to
hold
ask the
their
mother
hand.
of their children,
right? Yeah. Or like have their nipples played with. So that seems so like, and I'm not trying to be crass.
No, I get it.
But and I know, you know, it's like But to be able to, for them to ask for that, and even for them to enjoy like tenderness, where I'll just like touch them tenderly, like how a man, where typically a man would caress a woman's body.
Right.
To do that to a man and kiss the sides of their face, I mean...
Yeah, the whole world opens up. I always found with my married clients that it was really less about the specific sexual thing that they wanted to do. It wasn't that their wife wouldn't lick their butthole, or it wasn't that they needed like some specific thing that they were afraid to ask for. It's that they wanted to experience intimacy with somebody that didn't have like 30 years of resentment over the dishwasher built up between us, where it's like, I can just be here. Like I can just be here and I can just hear your stories and we can just be together. We don't have this this context of like, you're not going to trigger a fight that we didn't resolve 15 years ago.
Right.
This isn't about the kid. Like the shared life stuff that can sometimes get in the way of real intimacy, where people feel like they're playing a role instead of like just being human. And so, and it's the same phenomenon of like people feeling more comfortable telling their life story to someone on an airplane than like to their spouse. It's that same thing.
It's just it's so cool to hear, because I didn't realize, because I've heard the name Ishtar and I've heard the folklore, but I think when you're a kid and when you're learning about this stuff, they don't go deep into where they don't break it down, where it's like, no, this is prostitution.
Yeah.
And it was sanctioned, and it was like, and not only was it sanctioned, but it was one of the highest.
Yes.
Sounds like one of
it's priestesses who are also prostitutes for the temple, who are the big property owners.
Prostitutes. I had to say it. I had to say it. Prostitutes. I had to do it. I just need one bad. That's two bad puns.
Who are like loaning money and have like a lot of power in a society where women are being stripped of their power. So it's like it's always that weird juxtaposition. The practice of sacred sex seems to have happened all over the ancient world. So like in Syria, women were given the choice of selling their hair or their body. Either way, that money went to a similar goddess. She wasn't named Ishtar, but it was called Astatar. I don't know if I'm not pronouncing any of this right.
Astatar.
I think
I'm sorry. It was Astamouth.
Astamouth.
Astamouth. That was hair or body. You could pick.
In Carthage, North Africa, poor girls were obligated to work in the temple to save up for a dowry. And a Greek inscription actually found in Tralles and Lydia proves that the practice of sacred prostitution survived as late into the 2nd century of our own time, because they scrawled the name of this woman, Ariella Amelia, and she served God through the temple by selling her body, and she came from a long line. Her mother had done that, her grandmother had done that, her great-grandmother had done that, and it's inscribed on like this column or something, showing that there's no social stigma. Like people are not just writing. It wasn't a shaming thing, it was like a celebration thing. And people from noble families would often send their daughters to service the goddess in this way, and nobody hesitated to marry these girls after their period of service was over. Queen Semiramis is one of the few old Babylonian women that we have biographical data about, and her biographer claims that she was a prostitute who married a king.
So now that makes sense. If I was a dude, I would almost, of course, you would rather marry a chick who was like a prostitute in the church.
Think about all the skills that she's learning in this temple.
Yeah.
Think about all the medicine she's learning. Think about all of the sacred rites, and like, especially if you're thinking about marriage as being a partnership between equals, not like marrying a child bride that you hope stays malleable. Like, don't be, not like Hugh Hefner.
Right. Well, that's the thing. And that's, again, but, and we've said it before, I'll say it again, but that's, and not even the age thing, but just the knowledge and the wisdom.
Yes.
Because she has the skills to like be caring, and so she can do all that stuff, but then also basic skills, like the proper way to give a hand job. It's not fun.
Right.
It's not my favorite thing to do.
You
want to do like a twist at the end, and then I use the mouth a little bit, but I'm sure they taught them that. That was probably part. It's just
real important to keep it wet.
What is the exit exam like at that temple? Like, all right, whores,
line up.
All right, my little prostitutes, get ready.
Good dance.
First, okay, we're gonna do first person to make. You each get a person. The first, you got to make him. Whoever makes him come the quickest. It's like one of those water squirt games at the carnival. But opposite.
But I think that they were doing like weird tantric stuff. I think it was like about like more spiritual stuff. Like I think that some of the prostitutes were doing like just quick money exchange shit. But like a lot of these priestesses, it was like they were both engaged in an act of worship. You know what I mean? It's like the guy is coming to like take solace and get something from the fertility goddess Ishtar and is willing to make what I assume is like a hefty donation, or is willing to go through like cleansing rituals, and is willing to like subjugate himself to the power of the goddess. And of course she acting like a priestess, or like the oracle at Delphi. Like, I mean, like these women, it's a people are paying homage, you know. It's not like, here's $300, I want to come on you real fast.
I like how sexy it sounds. Like that's what I should have done. It's like, so now this is the cleaning ritual. What does that mean? Wash your gross balls.
Yes, wash your gross balls.
Wash your ball. There's a shower right here. Wash your balls.
I'm sorry, we have to have a cleansing ceremony before we can begin our session.
Have you ever heard of Ishtar? Well, what is that, a goddess? I don't know. I was assuming it was something stuck between your ass cheeks because I can't take the. Get in the shower. This is a cleansing ritual.
And scrub. Don't just rinse off. That does nothing. If I can still smell you, you're showering wrong.
I did that once, but he wanted to be like dominated, and it was someone I was dating for, like I was seeing for a while, and he wanted to try that, and then he wanted me to dom. But I wasn't even like trying to be a dom. He's like, I want you to peg me, and I was like, okay. And then I'm like, and he's like, yeah, my ass is clean, and I was like, well, we were doing a bunch of drugs, and I'm like, okay. And I wasn't even like, but I was like, I don't know if I can be a dom. Like, I'm not real. I prefer to be submissive.
Right.
And then we have the strap on, and I started to put it in, and then it was like, and then the smell, and I go, this is fucking, and I just started yelling, not even in like a sex way. I go, this is disgusting.
Did that turn him on so much?
Yes. I'm not, get in the fucking shower. You have a detachable thing. You have one of the nicest showers in Manhattan. Get your ass in the shower.
No excuse for this.
And I was like, and I made him, and he goes, okay. And he got really turned on. And I was like, I'm not joking.
Yeah. No, this isn't, I mean, like, yeah, you should feel ashamed and like crawl into the fucking shower and fucking ask for forgiveness for even putting me through that fucking bullshit. And also, I'm not kidding. Like, do it. Like, for real though.
He
like,
just got so turned on, and I was like, I'm not. And then
I love to be yelled at.
And then I was like, oh, he's into it.
Worship us.
And then I was like, and I'm like, I'm watching you. And I go, he goes, I can't reach it. I go, turn around, and I took the detachable thing like a kid, and I just washed his ass. I'm like, this is disgusting. I go, apologize. And I'm like, clean off this strap on. And anyway, it was really fun, but cleaning ritual is a more sexy way.
just to wrap this up. So the image of Ishtar obviously lasts until like modern times. We see echoes of her in in Wonder Woman. We see echoes of her in like Aphrodite and like the Cupid imagery that we have, all of that shit. But the Emperor Constantine, when he converts to Christianity, abolishes the custom of temple prostitutes. But he also abolishes like all paganism, and he tears down Ishtar's temple and builds Christian churches instead.
See what happens? You take the prostitutes out of the church, and guess what? They're starting to have sex with kids. And
the priests are fucking up.
You can't be to deny sexuality. You can be like a nice person and volunteer at homeless shelters and be a religious person, be whatever. But people want to fuck.
Yeah.
God.
It's so weird to me that we decided that sex was a sin instead of being a gift from God. Like, couldn't we have just, like, we get to just decide, like, what this stuff is. Why isn't it?
Now you got kids getting fucked in churches. Not to double up on finger banging in public place stories. I was fingered against my will. This is not a fun story. In a Mormon church when I was, like, 14.
By a Mormon?
Yeah, by a guy who was going on his mission. Yes, I was, like... I guess it's molestation.
Yeah, that's definitely molestation.
It was at like a Halloween.
You got molested.
Yeah, he like fingered me in a thing. I was tall, so I looked older, but he knew I was 14. Wow. That's what happens when you start cutting shit off, and then people have to go.
Right. And then you're too ashamed to talk about it because it's like, what were you doing that made him finger you? And it's like, it wasn't like that. But if we just took the stigma, we'd be able to talk about sexuality in a way that was like healthy and meaningful. Well, whatever.
We're doing this podcast.
We're doing our best. And like, when I'm so excited after we come back from the break to tell you about a contemporary goddess.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be so excited. Follow us on Twitter at Old Pro Podcast. We're also on Instagram, Old Pro Podcast. Check us out, and please email us at theoldestprofessionpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes.
I think that's right.
You nailed it. That was perfect. You nailed it.
Yeah, theoldestprofessionpodcast@gmail.com. We want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, tell us your stories. Let us be the people you vent to. We know this is, we say this all the time, but we are in a place of privilege. Kaytlin and I get to talk about this publicly and with each other. But yeah, tell us what you think about the podcast. And if you just want to share a story or vent, please do that, because it is a real scary place sometimes when you got no one to talk to. You feel like you're only as sick as your secrets. So don't let that stuff bottle up.
We don't have any temples anymore. Just email us. We'll do our best.
Yeah, let us be your temple, boys and girls.
Be right back after this break. This episode is sponsored by Velvet Swing, which is a cannabis-enhanced lube that is very nice.
Ooh.
You should follow the founder. This is a whore-owned and operated business.
Okay.
Mistress Matisse on Twitter. So buying this product supports not just your own sex life, but also the sex worker rights movement. Mistress Matisse is a big deal.
Thank you, Mistress.
Yes, you can follow Mistress Matisse at Mistress, Mistreess, Matisse, Matisse.
Yeah, you know why I feel so good? Because while you were in the kitchen about 10 minutes ago before we recorded this, I took the cannabis lube and I jammed it in my butthole. I'll tell you not the thing.
How do you feel?
Amazing.
Right? You feel relaxed?
I feel my butthole feels great.
Your butthole feels relaxed?
Oh my God, I didn't even think about this. This would be great for anal.
Of course. Yeah, you can't overestimate the importance of a relaxed butthole.
I love anal already. I'm going to be squirting all over the wall if I put some... Okay, now I do want to wrap this because I want to go get fucked.
Velvet Swing, so you can get high while getting down.
Welcome back
to the oldest profession. Today, we're going to be talking about Tracy Elise, who she started the Phoenix Goddess Temple. I want to make sure the Phoenix Goddess Temple in Phoenix. And she operated it.
Like it's in Albuquerque.
And she operated from, I think, 2008 to 2011 as a tantric goddess practitioner, and she had a temple with other goddesses, and she offered services to people that would come and worship involving chakra alignment and sacred massage, and some of the sacred massage had to do with like yoni and anal massage, right? Because one of you know more about this shit than I do. One of the chakras comes out your butt. Yeah. So in 2011, a SWAT team.
I love it. It comes out your butt.
I think that's how that works.
Yeah.
You know, to release the negative energy or so. Sure, I don't know stuff.
Also, you can use Miralax for that if you're having problems. But I mean, if you want to go to a temple and get your butthole massaged,
you can do it.
I'll take a small to medium dick in there. That helps too. But anyway, back to
2011, a SWAT team raids her place, accuses her of prostitution after a 6-month undercover investigation.
I cannot take it with these cunts. And I'm not talking about the women running the thing, because when I call them cunts, I mean it respectfully. And I hate to use the word cunt to describe these motherfucking
lowly
dicks, these ball sacks. Because the cunt, I love calling my pussy a cunt. I think it's great.
Mm-hmm.
A 6-month investigation.
A 6-month investigation. They brought her in on charges of prostitution. Not just prostitution, but pandering, promoting prostitution, money laundering, racketeering, and conspiracy. Okay? They arrested 40 people, including... She was one of only 2 who refused the plea bargain, which would have only resulted in her spending 3 months in jail, because she said, what I'm doing is not a crime. This is my religious freedom. This is my religion. We are a church. This is how we practice.
Right.
The body is sacred. The genitals are a part of the body. It's not my fault that you're dumb, basically, was her response. So she fires her attorney in 2013 and represents herself. Okay. So in a trial that she comes in, she represents herself, and her goal is to show the jury her religion. So she builds like a shrine on her little desk.
Your Honor, if I may, I would like to fuck each member of the jury. And it's going to take a couple weeks.
It's going to take a couple of weeks, but I really want to give them an experience. Dennis Hoff testified for her at the trial.
Dennis Hoff,
the largest brothel owner in Nevada.
Is his middle name Jack Me? Dennis Jack Me Hoff.
He testified that like what he does is run a brothel, and what she did was running a church, and they're real different. And even like if she was trying to run a brothel, she's fucking doing it wrong. She was like $60,000 in debt. Like, I mean, like it wasn't going well. It was a nonprofit. They weren't profiting.
Yeah.
But she had, so people were doing money. There was naked stuff happening. There was sexual things called sacred unions that were happening, but it was also, the practice of the church. I want to tell you a little bit about her. She was born in Pullman, Washington, the eldest of 4 girls. She got married at 21 years old and immediately had 3 children. She was a good Christian wife. She was raised in the Christian church. But even as a child, she had questions like, why is God a man? Why is Eve evil? Why are women not more centered in the church? How do we fix this?
Right.
And then in the she was a Christian mom throughout the 80s. In the early 90s, she had a spiritual awakening with another man. She says that it wasn't sex, that he simply like touched her, but like the energy opened her up to this thing. So she started getting into tarot cards and like new agey stuff generally, and like she's just seeking something else, something beyond the Christian church. And so she starts studying tantra. She becomes a sacred healer. And she leaves her family in 1995, leaves her Catholic husband and her 3 kids. And she says that this was like a family tragedy, but all 3 of her children, and I think this really says something, all 3 of her children say it was a very painful time, but looking back, she had to do it, and that she had a mission after that, and they're proud of her mom, or they're proud of their mother for taking that step and being true to herself. So I thought that was really cool.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, but it's also, I mean, like, she's also a weirdo. Like, she sings America the Beautiful to the jury. That's like part of her closing statement. She shows up one day in like a ball gown, like a shimmering pink ball gown, and says, and I quote, life's too short not to wear a ball gown whenever you want.
You know
which
what?
is a true statement. Right.
She's not wrong. Now,
She's not wrong.
Now
Nope.
I'm with this bitch.
Yeah. Because
Now-
she sees through the matrix. She sees through the bullshit. She's
Right.
like, what we really need to be doing is connecting with each other.
Yes.
And not with your dumb laws about how bad penises are. Like, it just seems fucked up and stupid. The other thing that I love about this bitch is that she was the queen. She was like the harvest queen in Alaska, like when she was in high school, like 17, 18 years old, which I think is the same thing Sarah Palin was. Remember there's that picture of Sarah Palin with like a big, she was like the queen harvest of Alaska. It's like
very
Ishtar. It's like being Miss America,
right?
or Miss Harvest. Yeah.
That's some Ishtar shit.
Some Ishtar shit.
Yep.
Yeah. Harvest goddess, principal
Harvest
person.
bitch. Here's the Hovest. I'm done with
Hovest.
puns. I'm not done with puns. I don't have a bathroom. I'm allowed to do as many terrible puns as I want. There's got to be footage of her trial online.
Oh, there's so much footage.
Oh, I
want to
watch
her
this
talking.
bitch.
Oh, it's great. We're gonna put it all up on the website. You can see pictures
This
of her.
is amazing.
You can see her other goddesses. And I was just doing some research. These temple goddess worshiper people, thingamabobbers, exist here and in LA and in San Francisco and in Seattle. So you can look up like the temple goddess of New York or something, and they have a recommended donation that is very similar to what escorts are asking for a recommended donation.
Oh.
They are showing, they have sexy pictures, but they're not naked, and they show their whole face, which is really different from the escort services, which are, you know, naked but with an obscured face. And they have these long, I mean, it's you can look at it like I see where the state is coming from. I don't think that prostitution should be illegal. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I think it's dumb that we're arresting people for having consensual sex with each other. That feels like a real dumb use of our time and resources. But I do understand, like, looking at the way that it's sort of set up. I don't know. It just it's different. I can't.
So now
it's like the closer you get to it, the harder it is to pinpoint exactly what's different. Because like I know this is true of you too. Like, I didn't have sex with all of my clients, and I know that they don't have sex with everyone that comes in. That's not the thing that makes it different. It's, you know, and whether it was a donation or not a donation, it's like, how do you...
They're like, what's the difference? All right, whichever one I use can tell me which is the best salve to use on my dick is not going to jail.
Right.
Because we know goddesses are trained in how to use a salve. I read about Ishtar. We're like, what the fuck? How does this guy know? So that's interesting. So they put their whole face. See, now I never, with an escort that... Now on the website, on the sugaring websites, I put a picture of my face, but on Jessica Alba's body. Was that wrong? And then I just would give blowjobs, but through like a cutout,
like
one of those circus fair, but it was like a glory hole, but like a non-anonymous glory hole.
It'd be great if you're just like in sweatpants back there, like just eating Cheetos.
Oh yeah, I was
like
on my phone
in between dicks,
playing Candy Crush. That's part of the turn on is my eyes go from side to side. It's like a haunted painting. You're mouth fucking a haunted painting. That's what And then leaning close in the painting, kiss the side of your face. That's terrifying, but a really great business idea.
No, it was so funny when Dennis Hoff testified. He was like, "She's a terrible like this isn't a business. Like I'm in the prostitution business to make money. She's trying to heal people. That's why she's broke." Like he's basically like shitty. And she's also 55 years old. He's like, no. If this was prostitution, it would be young hot bitches. These are all middle-aged women who are trying to do something. They're trying to heal people with their body. This is not like, yeah, they're naked, but they're also old. It's so funny. Like Dennis Hoff, in his dumb machismo way, is like trying to defend the temple goddess, but he just can't help the misogyny. You know what I mean?
He's like,
he just
look,
can't help it.
Please don't put her in jail. She's old. Trust me,
she's old hag. No one wants this pussy.
She's just the only crystals we got at the Bunny Ranch are for putting in your asshole or your urethra.
Well, she defended herself against 22 counts of prostitution.
Yeah.
She was found guilty, and she could have been sentenced to up to 70 years of prison for the charges, but instead she is serving 4.5 years in a cage for having a tantric sex
That is, here's
temple
what
in
you want to talk
a
about.
red state.
It's fucking insane, especially because, and not just the woman thing, but also the sex worker thing, just to show like how far down. Because anyone else in that, because like if you look at all the evidence and that the Hoff guy being a dick, but he's not wrong. He's not wrong. It's like she's actually not profiting. She believes that she is healing people, and she comes in and she's not denying anything. And then she comes in a fucking ball gown.
Yeah,
and
with
sings,
her peacock feathers, setting up shrines, singing America the Beautiful to the jury.
And then,
like,
and then they're like, whatever.
Which is such a white woman way to do, like,
the insanity
court.
play.
Right, yeah, can you imagine, like, just like ball gowns and peacock feathers and like the chakras.
Right. Well, it's a very white bitch thing to do. And it's, but what's interesting, interesting is the wrong word, offensive and horrific is the correct word, and deplorable, is that she still gets jail time.
Yeah.
Where you've got people in an actual church, documented priests in all different religions, and and they're men, and there's documentation of them actively like coercing and sodomizing, raping, molesting children, and they
No
don't
one's
go to
in jail. No one's in jail.
They move them to another court.
Right.
This bitch is like, I set up a tent with me and my other lady friends. Our kids are finally off.
We're
off
trying
to
teach men how to worship women like goddesses. We're trying to teach women how to let go of their sexual trauma. We're trying to teach people how to love. We're trying to do exactly what that harlot did to the fucking savage in Gilgamesh, right? We're trying to be a civilizing force in society and teach people how to connect with each other. And
they're like, hold on, you accepted money for showing somebody your nipples? You're out of here. What a fucking nightmare.
I know.
My
it's
first
crazy.
thought was like, I was like, are they going to let her off? Did they let her off on insanity? I can't believe they put her in jail.
She's not insane. I mean, like, she's a weirdo.
I don't
but
think she's insane.
She's not crazy.
Oh no,
you
I'm
can watch these videos of her. She's smart. She believes she's like a missionary. And the fucked up thing is, like, the reason that she opened the temple in Phoenix, Arizona is like she was working in Seattle, right? They're not cracking down on this shit in Seattle. There's like, everything's fine. But in Arizona, she was like, people are so repressed here. So she really had like a missionary's heart in wanting to spread the gospel of Tantra and wanted to bring it to a community that didn't otherwise have it. Now, Charles Muir is the tantric instructor that I paid $500 for an introductory class, and then I went there as a single woman. And there was nobody got naked during the class, but we had the option of pairing up with other single people and doing the exercises. Yeah. It was really cool. I got my yoni massaged by a guy with a really thick Boston accent. And it was...
What is yoni?
Yoni, it's their word for vagina. Okay. It's that chakra. It's the one in your pussy. Yeah. Okay, which is different from the one in your butthole. And there's one you're the third eye, and then your throat, and then your heart, and I don't remember. I used to breathing stuff. I want to take Trey. He's consented to doing this. But Charles Muir runs the largest tantric school internationally. He thinks
is it in New York?
It's everywhere. He travels.
Oh,
so he goes. Yeah, it's coming to New York. I think in like March or April.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm taking Trey. Come with.
Go.
It'll be
I'll
great.
Bring somebody.
Fantastic. Make them pay for it. So we show up, and it really, he like kind of downplays the religion stuff and tries to make it more about like helping people come. But he's teaching tantric all over the world. He was asked about this article, and he's like, she's a true believer and a real practitioner of tantric, but she was just foolish because she thought that because she was doing good in the world, that would be enough. And I think that we see this over and over again of like being right or having the best intentions or like actually helping people isn't enough to get out of like being punished if you're violating some dumb sexual mores.
Right.
Like it's just fucked up.
Yeah. And then the fact that when you look at, and not to harp on the same kind of thing, and it's cliche, and I don't know a ton about this, but I know enough to know it's fucked up. You look at the people who prosper and are super wealthy, and they're men, and a lot of them are working in finance, law, and they are like bad. They're bad.
They're
guys.
bad people, right? Because we get to decide as a society what we choose to elevate.
Yeah, as long as you're keeping your clothes on, and you're and under those clothes you got a big old swinging dick.
Yeah, you can.
You're a dude. You do whatever.
Dudes can do whatever, but also like if you're hurting people with a spreadsheet, you're allowed to do that. You know, like it's just nuts. Like you were talking about this woman working for Handy, right? Who was making $20 for cleaning the toxic sludge.
This was, it's talk about an insulting, horrific job that because my plumbing is completely fucked. And I had a cleaning woman to come because it was toxic sludge, and the landlord and the owner of the restaurant underneath me, I was like, I need a professional cleaner to come and clean this because I know the chemicals that need to be used are toxic.
Yep.
And I'm not employed. Even a Roto-Rooter person, when they come in to do their job, they were like, oh, can you go downstairs and check and look at the plumbing? The guy on the phone with my landlord is like, if I take my ladder out, I'm charging you. It's $285 for me to take equipment off my truck and bring it in here. And she's like, well, just go look. And it's like, no, I have to be paid for my job. So he gets $285
to look at it.
To look at something. And it's not just because he's a man. If it was a female Roto-Rooter, that's fine.
Yeah, no, she's a trained craftsman.
Right.
Like he's got his trained skilled labor.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the skill, I mean, but it's, and so like, but it's a heavy duty. It's a serious thing that's going on in my bathroom. So I'm like, I need a professional to come and clean this. Someone that knows how to handle chemicals, because when chemicals mix, that's not good,
weird,
right?
Bad shit happens.
And they essentially told me to fuck off and deal with it myself. And it was so disgusting that I was like, I'm not going to do this. Sure. And we've talked about it earlier.
It's not safe.
I have had to watch a man rinse off a dirty dildo. Like we've done sexually we've done things where
you're
people
not
would
squeamish.
Be
You're just like, you understand. You got to take care of your fucking self.
It's unsafe, and I didn't do it. If it's something I did, I'll fix it. But this is not my fucking. It is my problem now, but I did not cause it. But I hired. So they sent a cleaning service, and this woman came in and she had to clean
through Handy.
I don't know.
I know that to be like an exploitative fucking thing. It's a bunch of dude bros, like, it's an app, right? It's cool. Like, oh, cool. It's like Uber for cleaning stuff and like doing like little errands and stuff. But they, the people are totally underpaid, and it's that fucked up thing is that people are motivated. You want to pay the cheapest price, right? But then you've got people that don't know what they're fucking doing. They don't have any supplies. They don't have any training. They're just free agents out there that are using this app to try to make some money by telling somebody like, yeah, I'll hang your blinds, or like, I'll do your shit.
This woman,
and it's terrible.
This woman, and we talk about degrade, where people talk about with sex work and how it's so
it's
crazy.
So degrading. It's so dirty.
How we say that this business that sent this woman should be shut down because they're taking advantage of her and she's being exploited, and her health is more in danger than a sex worker who's using protection and than what we, you know what I'm saying? Like, she shows up and I'm like, how much are you getting paid? First of all, she had no cleaning supplies. She looked ashamed. You could see in her eyes that she's like, I'm cleaning your bathroom.
Right.
And it's not like, oh, because I'm out of town. It's like, oh no, I'm here. I'm in the apartment. I'm working.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm not cleaning that. So that was already like, I felt kind of weird. I'm like, thank you. And I thought they were sending an industrial cleaner. They send this lady. She shows up. And she's like, do you have cleaning supplies? And I'm like, I do have cleaning stuff that the people from downstairs gave me. But the reason I call the cleaner is because when I use the bleach and the plumbing agent, the plumbing, like the unclogging thing, sorry, my brain is from all these chemicals, the stuff that the restaurant owner had given me, and he was, use this to clean your own bathroom. when I did that and I put a video up on the internet and everything, it made a chlorine cloud and I couldn't breathe and I was choking in my apartment.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
no,
this
people
is dangerous.
die from that shit all the time.
Yeah, and I'm like, I need a professional person. So I sent them that video.
But you didn't get a professional person.
And so they send this poor woman, and I'm like, fucking fuck.
Right.
And the bathtub's backing up immediately, and there's no standing water, so she's got to scoop all this stuff out.
Ugh.
And I said, how much are you getting paid? And she goes, I said, I started getting paid, and she goes, yeah. She goes, that's $60 an hour, but your landlord's paying for it. And I said, okay, but how much are you making?
Right.
And it was so, my heart broke. She didn't even look me in the eye. She looked down at the ground and she was like, $20. I'm getting $20.
It's so crazy, this kind of stuff.
I gave her 50, by the way. I'm not an
it's
asshole.
Fucking like this new trying like the freelance market, right?
Mm-hmm.
With whether it's writing or handyman jobs or cleaning lady stuff like that. It's like combining the worst elements of low paid wage work with the worst elements of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Not only are you barely getting paid to do a shitty, terrible job, but you also have to hustle for it. Like it's like a terrible combination.
The fact that, and it's so that we've taken certain things from the puritanical world, the morality code. It's so that we've decided to vilify sex work.
Yeah.
Where what this woman's doing in Phoenix is, now that's not okay in sex work, and that's not okay, and you're all going to jail after we investigate for 6 months, and everyone gets to fuck everybody in the place. Right. Because that's a theme I'm picking up. There's always a real long investigation. Yeah. Right. There's always a real long investigation.
Where they got their butts massaged.
Right. My friend driving the other day, black lady they pulled her over and like yanked her out of the car to search her car. They thought she had no drugs, everything was fine. But like that, there was no long investigation. So it's like if you're a black person and you're driving a car, you're out and there's a big, and like just you're like, oh, beep, so that there's no investigation for that. For my friend, she got pulled out of the car. It's fucking crazy. Okay, this is in Oregon. That's insane. So she's being harassed. There's no investigation. But when it's like, this could be a potential brothel, we better go there a couple times a day for like 6 months. I just want to make sure.
The 6 month investigation. It's crazy. And a SWAT team.
Yeah.
After the 6 months.
I forgot about that. A SWAT
after the
team?
6 month investigation, you're going to send a motherfucking SWAT team to break down this temple of middle-aged tantric practitioners?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
You probably, with women like that, all they need is like a strongly worded letter.
Right, yes. They're going to shit their pants.
Right. I mean, come on. It's the fact that the morality that we've taken it for whatever reason that society goes like sex work, that's bad. But that we didn't also pull the things where like, how about just human decency? How about a fair living wage? What about that moral code? What if we swing, because then you wouldn't have this disparity between these guys, these people getting rich, treating everyone like assholes, and this poor woman.
One of the theories floated, this is from the Chalice and the Blade, and like these scholars that talk about this earlier age, right? These goddess worshipping societies, is that because they were the great Mother Earth or the great Mother worshipping, all of their society was oriented around those ideals of like education and taking care of each other and creating a hospitable environment for mothers and children, right? Like that, the greatest good came from that, right? So they were, focused on the harvest and great works of art, and they were not, so they took care of their poor. They took care, they invested in public infrastructure, and their whole thing was worshiping mothers and the process of, and like sexuality and the female body being this great indicator of like social health, right? Whereas like today we live in the wealthiest country in the world with one of the highest infant mortality rates in the developed world because we don't actually give a fuck about our mothers in this country.
Right.
Not if you don't have money.
No.
Anyway, it's history is long. Prostitution is everywhere.
And don't even get me started on the whole as far as a womanly thing. And I know we got to wrap up, but I want to say this. The other thing too, not only with our society, as far as talking about like worshiping women, and this is a whole other, this is a whole other episode. This is a whole other 20 episodes probably I'll bitch
every
about.
episode.
Yeah. The standard of, and this has been so talked to death, but it still is a problem of beauty as far as like what we see in magazines and how super, super thin. And that's like, that is actually, healthy. So
Right.
even if you look everywhere you turn, it seems like if you look at the laws, you know, as far as like Planned Parenthood and like women's health and reproductive rights, and that's we're being like, no, fuck women.
Right.
And then we go like, open a magazine, walk in a store, and then what we're being sold is someone who's rail thin. And some women are very naturally thin, and they're still having a period. But like that's not what a fertile woman looks like.
That's not what a fertile woman looks like. Exactly. So they do these archaeological excavations. They find these primordial Venuses, as they were called by like the men that first discovered them. And so there are these like big-breasted, wide-hipped, sometimes pregnant, often faceless, like figures of women.
Yeah.
And then the dudes that discovered them in the height of the Victorian age were like, oh, these were clearly meant for masturbatory purposes. This is men trying to create like old porn and jerk off to these like weird, like savage women. And it's like, yeah, no, they were carved by women. They featured pregnant women because as a society, they worshipped fertile women who are big-breasted and wide-hipped,
right,
and often with protruding bellies, because that's what pregnancy is.
Yeah, and the woman, and that's what's attractive to, and again, to all our skinny women, you know.
No, skinny is healthy. Healthy is healthy,
right? Healthy is healthy, but when there's not like but when you just look at like what's being sold to women and what's being put in our faces is
and the youth thing too. It's like we obsess about like feminine youth. And it has to do with this idea of like women's value being degraded over time, right? It's like every penis that comes in and out of your body sucks a little bit of your dumb life force out or some dumb shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, right, but it's like, no, women who are wise and powerful and know things about stuff are a great asset to your household, your community, your nation state, your whatever. And if we downplay that and we pretend that the feminine ideal is a young, dumb child bride who hopefully knows nothing about anything, like how did we arrive at that as being elevated up to like the ideal? It's just like we got to keep you young, dumb, and thin for as long as we can. I mean, it's just stupid. We as a society, we settled on this fucking myth. I think I've said this before. I may say it again, that men become men because of the experiences that they go through, right? Like life happens to men and it matures them. But when life happens to women, it devalues them. You know what I mean? Like men grow from their experiences and women are diminished by them. And that's fucking bullshit.
Oh, it's crazy. And this goes back to, I know we got it, but I will say, it's interesting that the story of Ishtar, we were talking about earlier, because at the time when women, before there was the turn and Constantine took over, and it was like, oh, wait, now women are property. But at the time when women were being worshipped.
Yes.
And it's probably similar to what this woman was doing in Phoenix, which is like the Ishtar and the priestess, the priestesses that were there, they were wise women. They were probably all different ages.
Yep.
And they were, if you look at all the
different
artwork
shapes.
from that, all different shapes, they're really curvy or they're thin or they're whatever. And they look all, and that was worship because it was like, that's a female's fucking body.
Yeah.
I dated 2 women in my life. Both times that the women, when for myself, I'm like, oh, I should be like a size 0 and stop eating so someone will like me. The 2 women I've dated would be considered like 20, 30 pounds overweight. They're both like a size. So if I'm going to fuck a woman and date a woman, I want it to be a woman. So I know that for me. But it's interesting that when women were in power, we were allowed to look that and everything, know. But then once it became, we
celebrated all the life phases and all of the manifestations
because
of femininity.
Women were people and not things to fucking own. Right. And once that turned, once there was that turn, that's when you start. And historically, and I know most of this just from talking to you, just from doing the show, but that's where you start to look at. You can see the pictures, and that's the child brides, and that's these women where they have to be virginal, and they have and so and that keeps us in our place of, because it's like, well, if we tell women it's okay to be, it's okay to be in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and it's okay to have an extra dessert if you want, and be a size whatever you want, and it's okay to not wear makeup, and it's okay to be smart, and it's
also okay to wear ball gowns. It's all okay.
Right, you can do, but once, but if they start to say, if society goes like, hey, it's okay, then it's like, Because we can say, they're like, hey, we gave women the right to vote and they can drive and they can do stuff. So they have equal rights, big air quotes. But if we can still try to keep them striving to look like these malnourished, like 19-year-olds.
And if we just refuse to listen to them after the age of 40, or if we just pretend that all of their ideas are dumb and overly emotional because they're from women, like it's crazy. And it's crazy how much we've been erased through human history. And why we as a species decided to do like patriarchal, like through the line of the father when the babies literally come out of our bodies. Like it just doesn't make any damn sense to me.
It makes no sense.
Well, thank you so much for listening to The Oldest Profession.
I'm fired up.
Yeah. We'll be back next week.
Yeah, bye.